Why write a mystery?
Mysteries are enticing. They're both a demonstration and a story. They look complicated to craft, making them even more interesting. Though, all you need is people acting in a simple time frame.
How would you write a mystery?
Mysteries should answer 3 questions. Who did it? How did they do it? And why did they do it?
Can you give us the full process, please?
There are 5 steps to a mystery. First, you define the location where the crime is perpetrated. Then, you define a time frame. You establish the relationships between the victim, the suspects, the investigator, and the perpetrator. You display how the crime affects the character. And finally, you dispatch the clues.
How would you design a location for a mystery?
You want to factor 3 elements: the resources, the limits of the location, and the potential escapes. The first question you should ask yourself is, where is the building situated? If you can't tell where the building is, you know what are its limits, you know what are the potential escapes, and you may also start to define which resources are present inside the building. Then you want to think about the building's specificities in terms of architecture, because both the perpetrator and the investigator can make use of the location architectural specificities to solve the crime or to commit the crime.
What are the different character types?
There are 4 main types of character in the mystery. The victim, which is the main character, the suspect, the perpetrator, and the investigator. I consider the victim to be the main character in each case because the investigator will change. And also the investigator is less of a profile than a person, whereas the victim will be a profile, a representation. You want to focus your mysteries on the victim. To some extent, you want to focus your mysteries on the perpetrator as well, but the victim is more important since it's the testimony of the story you're trying to tell.
Which question should the investigator ask herself to establish relationships?
She should wonder about the identity of each individual, for the individual won't give her full information on who they are. So she should ask herself who they are. Are they relatives of the victim? Are they friends of the victim? Are they colleagues? Do they know her? Since when? Then she should ask herself, how did the victim communicated with each of them? Particularly with the perpetrator, but it works for all suspects. The means of communication used between the victim and each of the suspects are crucial to establish who the perpetrator is. The investigator should also ask herself how many persons are present. In some cases, there will be multiple perpetrators. Therefore, wondering how many persons are present, truly present, able to act, able to commit the crime is essential.
How can an investigator obtain information?
She has 2 ways. She can observe the environment and she can interrogate people. The clues she's looking for in the environment are dependent on the nature of the environment. If it's indoors, the research will be different than outdoors due to the nature of the environment itself, to its propension to degrade the clues. If the clues are particularly fragile, she will need to create an environment to protect the clue. She needs to investigate the environment in different manner, depending on the geometry of the environment. If it's a closed environment, she will have to look for clues on the floor, on the walls, and on the ceiling, in this order. If it's an outdoor environment, she will prioritize parts of the environment which are more likely to degrade or destroy the clues. When it comes to people, the testimonies she will collect will be collected through interrogation, but the interrogation itself will not always be direct, because being too direct with the suspect will make them more anxious and less likely to answer the questions of the investigator. So going through indirect questioning or suggestion may be more effective.
How does the investigator examine the crime's location?
She will first examine the environment structure itself, looking for objects which should not be there or are unlikely to be there. Then she will look for other objects which are more likely to be in the room and wonder why they are still there. Each object in the room has a purpose. The purpose of the object may be altered in order to commit the crime. The object's purpose may not be known by the investigator because she had limited knowledge on the object, if it's a specific tool, for example, and she may need to rely on one of the suspects in order to acquire information on the object's function. If the investigator need to acquire information of one of the suspects, she will have to question her trustworthiness. To question her trustworthiness, she will have to look for inconsistencies and incoherences in her discourse. The investigator cannot limit herself to the suspect's words. She will have to link the suspect's words with the suspect's actions, and namely their agenda. If the suspect's agenda corresponds directly to the time frame established to follow them, the suspects can be considered trustworthy.